What?
It all starts with this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
That's the Chaos Emerald! Now I know what's going on. The military has mistaken me for the likes of you.
Shadow the Hedgehog, created as the rival/antagonist for Sonic's 10th anniversary game, has become a fan favorite character over the 20 plus years of his existence. Shadow brought about the new age of Sonic games, what many fans refer to as the Dark Ages, or their negative critical reviews. In the years since his creation, Shadow has lost a lot of what he gained through his character arcs. In honor of Sonic X Shadow Generations and the third Sonic movie releasing later this year, this video serves to go over the history of Shadow the Hedgehog, his characterization, and where he is now.
There's no time for games. Farewell!
Gah!
Before we start this video proper, we must go over the definition of Flanderization. Reading off of Wikipedia here, it says, Flanderization is the process through which a complex fictional character's essential traits are oversimplified to the point where they... Fuck. You know what, I'm leaving that in, I don't care. Are oversimplified to the point where they constitute their entire personality, or at least exaggerated what other traits remain over the course of a serial work. The best example of this would be the character of Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, as Ned's many traits have boiled down over the years to him just simply being the very religious neighbor of The Simpsons. That's enough about Flanderization. Now we have to talk about Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow was conceptualized as a dark mirror to Sonic, hence the name. Initially going by the name Terios, Shadow was to look a lot more like Sonic than he does in the final game. Of the concept sketches we have access to, you can see the gradual evolution of Terios to the final Shadow design. Starting out as a beefier looking Sonic with a scar, and gradually changing features till we end up with Shadow. This design is also responsible for one of the biggest plot conveniences in Sonic Adventure 2, that being everyone confusing Sonic and Shadow. The game's story was more than likely finalized prior to them finalizing Shadow's design. As you can see by his design, Shadow was meant to do the same thing Sonic did in the early 90s, which is to capture a younger, cooler audience. Shadow's story arc in his debut game is one of overcoming limitations set by his creator, doing what he believes is right, and controlling his own destiny. The basic rundown of Shadow's parts in the dark story of Sonic Adventure 2. First, Eggman breaks him out of a capsule and he tells him that he can grant his wish like he's a genie or something. Shadow then commits multiple felonies which lead to Sonic the Hedgehog getting arrested. After escaping the police, Sonic has an encounter with Shadow in which Shadow flexes his chaos abilities and then disappears. The two won't meet again until their fight on Prison Island, which is when Shadow first displays a defiance towards his limitations. The island is set to explode in 10 minutes, and Rouge the Bat is trapped in a vault with the Chaos Emeralds. Shadow has a choice. Does he take Rouge and the emeralds, or just the emeralds? In the face of uncertain doom, Rouge the Bat is then saved by Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow would later hide his reasoning for saving Rouge by saying it was for the Chaos Emeralds, when it was really out of compassion. Later on in the story, Shadow is confronted by Rouge with information that he may not be the real Shadow, and his memories might be false. Shadow doesn't react to this information, saying even if he's not the real Shadow, his memories are real to him, and he is still the ultimate life form. This arc is finally wrapped up when Amy convinces Shadow to help the rest of the group to stop the Space Colony Arc from crashing into the Earth. Their combined powers of chaos control, Sonic and Shadow successfully teleport the Space Colony Arc away from the Earth, at the cost of Shadow's life. I'm gonna call this next arc the Amnesia Arc because that's the main plot point of Shadow's story. Starting with Sonic Heroes, Shadow's discovered in a pod in a secret Eggman base being guarded by Omega. The three team up to hunt down Eggman, presumably to get Shadow his memories back. Despite not remembering anything, Shadow still has the same personality, and he still does what he believes is right. Despite finding out that he might be an android at the end of the game, he still stays strong in his affirmation that he is the ultimate life form and controls his own destiny. At this point, Shadow the Hedgehog is so popular that he warrants his own game, affectionately titled Shadow the Hedgehog. This game continues the plot line started in Sonic Heroes regarding Shadow's amnesia, and also introduces many things about Shadow's backstory. Unfortunately, the bulk of the game's missions can't be proven or disproven to be canon, because you need to play all 10 of them to access the true ending. But here are some things that are definitely canon from this game. 1. Shadow isn't an android, and Eggman lied to him in Sonic Heroes. 2. Shadow is part alien, because Black Doom donated part of his blood in return for the Chaos Emeralds as part of the Project Shadow. 3. Shadow does whatever he wants. 4. Shadow regains his memories. 5. Shadow is objectively stronger than he was in Sonic Adventure 2, being able to chaos control the Space Colony Arc by himself, without dying. Unfortunately, due to the choose your own adventure style this game chose to tell its story in, the characterization is all over the place when it comes to the main characters as well as the side characters. Every plot point made in the missions really makes no sense, because one mission you can be on the hero side and the other on the villain side, making Shadow seem almost bipolar. This game will wrap up the Amnesia Arc very nicely and bring Shadow's character to a close. There's not much to note in Sonic 06 besides the fact that Shadow now works at Gun with Rouge and Omega, and Shadow dropping the hardest line in Sonic history in this game.
The world will betray you. Why fight at all? Why risk your life for those who will persecute you later?
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
After Shadow's story arcs wrapped up in the 2000s, the 2010s didn't really have much for him. Shadow was mainly relegated to a background character. With the exception of his boss fight in Sonic Generations, Shadow wouldn't be featured in the game until Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric. Skipping ahead to Sonic Forces, Shadow acts unusually cocky and boastful. Shadow acts like how the critics perceived Shadow in the 2000s. Which is to say, Shadow acted like a more kid-friendly, edgy Vegeta. And while you can largely ignore Shadow's characterization in Sonic Forces as it's a video game for children and the story isn't that important, the IDW comics, which take place after Forces and are a continuation, are harder to ignore because comic books don't have any alternative medium to keep you distracted. They are the medium. So it pains me to say that Shadow's characterization in IDW is exactly the same as his characterization in Sonic Forces. There's not much else to say. We can only hope that Sonic Movie 3, going back to Shadow's origins, and Sonic X Shadow Generations, exploring Shadow's past, can help undo some of the damage done to his character. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. I made this all in one day.